Good morning, friends. It is indeed a pleasure to talk to you about artificial intelligence and machine learning in arthroplasty. I apologize for not being there in person to deliver this lecture because I had to leave early. Once again, thanks for all your hospitality at Chandigarh, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Now, talking about orthopedics and AI is like two different poles. And for most of us, this topic is boring enough, and that is why I decided to begin this on a philosophical note. Now, if we look deep inside whatever things are close to us, they are all in a manner an algorithm. Why things happen in the manner they happen, why we humans are humans, why our cells are the cells, they are probably a result of complex algorithm, most of which we do not understand. And thus it is fitting to say that the God of Genesis himself is a programmer. And the language, not manipulation, is the tool of his creation. Words became worlds, and the laws of physics are optional when we consider that everything is a algorithm. AI and ML was once a subject of fiction, and it's now invading and changing every part of our life. The suggestions that we receive from Amazon or Netflix or flight booking are spot on, and Google almost seems to read our minds. And you see the face recognition technology. Now, the latest iPhone will recognize you with your mask on. AI and orthopedics, I think, especially in arthroplasty, it holds a special place. As orthopedic surgeons, we are quick to adapt, refine, and integrate technology in our practices. We have seen that there is an exponential growth in joint replacement, refinement of trauma and spine surgeries, and integration of advanced technologies like navigation, robotics, and 3D imaging in our operating rooms. In today's talk, I'll speak on three keywords: artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, and what's the likely transformation that's going to happen in arthroplasty. Now, AI involves machines that can perform the tasks that are characteristic of human intelligence. For example, we can plan, we can understand language, we can recognize object and sound. And if a machine or if something can do that, it's an intelligent being. And when it happens artificially, it's called as AI. The intent of AI is to help solve problem. And at the heart of all this is a word called as algorithm. Now, when we look at algorithm, they are the building block. It's a set of instruction given to the computer in form of sequence or step which would lead to the desired output. The task usually is incredibly complex and involves space complexity on the machine, time complexity. They must use time efficiently, and complexity relating to the human nature. And that's where the algorithm become too complex to comprehend and to correct. Machine learning, on the other hand, is training an algorithm how to do a particular thing. It could be inductive or deductive, it could be supervised, semi supervised, or completely unsupervised learning. Now, if you look at the progression, we started from reactive machine. You told them to do perform a test, you press the button, it will do it. If you didn't press the button, it will not do it. Then came in the limited memory machine, which understood, okay, if we did a particular step, this needs to be done. Then came the machines with the theory of mind. And finally, we are now toying with the idea of self aware machines, which not only understand what is expected of them, but also are aware of their self and surrounding. They do not need to be they do not need the object to be defined, objectives to be defined, and can react, can act, and can perform independently. The first frontier on this intelligent machine is how the orthopedic imaging is going to change. And you'll see that in diagnostic, it has made the most difference. In trauma radiographs, the deep learning algorithms have shown that they are at par with the humans for diagnosing fractures. We have seen that there are a lot of predictive model to suggest whether a person can undergo or is safe to undergo a limb salvage surgery, and also to plan clinically important decisions while implementing joint arthroplasties. Of course, it can be used for predicting models of complication and mortality after knee or hip arthroplasty. And as I said, these are the lowest hanging fruit, the predictive algorithms. Now, when we look at this is one of our articles that we have published, and I think the real benefit is to bridge the gap between the man and the machine. That's where the AI will have an impact. In our own studies, when we did and used these deep learning algorithms, and we found that they had excellent accuracy when we detected osteoarthritis, and in fact, they were better than humans when we asked them to identify the implants. So while I and my fellow were at decimal 78.2%, one of the models actually had a 99.6% accuracy, thus clearly indicating that they were superior to humans when it came to identify or recognize a pattern. Now, deep learning is often used interchangeably, but I think it's one of the approaches of machine learning, and it is inspired by the structure and function of the brain. This creates artificial neuronal networks, or it behaves where the layers are formed to mimic how things are in human brain. And one of the other important thing is that there are the connections formed which help to kind of ensure that there is some kind of memory with the machine. When we talk about arthroplasty, and the robotics, I think that's where the frontier has made the most difference to at least me in my life. As a robotic surgeon, I've seen how AI will and has already transformed and will continue to transform the way we think. And when I work with my robot, and which has got a mind of its own, I work by setting certain non-negotiable terms, and then I negotiate with what it says to win-win. When I'm doing arthroplasty, of course, the goal is to balance force all across the joint. And you'll see that the alignment philosophy over the years have changed and varies from surgeon to surgeon. In 1970s, we were talking about mechanical alignment, then came the anatomical alignment, then kinematic, constitutional, restricted kinematic, adjusted mechanical alignment. But I think this is the era of the intelligent alignment. And I'm giving you this as an example because I think this is most relevant to all of us when we talk about AI use in orthopedics. It's the surgeon intelligence, surgeon's expertise, surgeon's experience, and artificial intelligence in action. And I call this as a concept of intelligent alignment. As I said, it's the robotic goal setting involves the surgeon AI in action by setting certain non-negotiables. So my non-negotiable with the robot and the AI is my alignment philosophy. I will not accept anything going beyond 5 degree of varus and 2 degree of valgus. I would want it to be restricted between -2 to +3. I tell the robot that this is there, this is what I want. I want my balance to be 2 millimeter opening on medial or lateral side. I want my gaps to be rectangular and equal or perhaps slightly loose in extension when I'm doing a knee replacement, slightly loose in flexion for unicompartmental knees. I would not accept any notching or overhangs on femur and tibia, and I would want the joint line to be preserved. So these are non-negotiable that I give to the AI of the robot, and then I negotiate, and I and my robot negotiate in terms of femur positioning in AP. I can shift it up or down to increase the flexion space or decrease the flexion space. I can rotate it up to 5 degrees of external rotation, 2 degree more than the 3 degrees that is recommended to decrease the flexion space, the lateral space in flexion. I can change the varus valgus up to 3 degree varus and 2 degree valgus by manipulating the distal femoral cut and tibial cut. I can change my tibial slope to 5 degree, and I can code implant size one size up and down. So with all these permutation combinations, the robot or the AI software which drives the robot gives me this kind of thing where it is showing this is my initial planning screen, and then as I said, it is at this moment 0 degree varus for both distal femur, 0 degree on neutral rotation, 0 degree varus for tibia, and a 0 degree rotation for the tibia. And then begins my negotiation with the robot where you'll see that to achieve a certain thing, I'm changing my varus valgus in the distal femur, changing my rotations, changing my tibial cut to achieve or to get to a point where I'm need minimal releases. So you'll see the robotic in AI, in robotics we have already done one stage of release, then this is the negotiation stage, and then finally the fine tuning with some minimal release. So you'll see that I'm juggling with the component positioning, and AI is helping me out to achieve, and by giving them or fitting them into my negotiable and non-negotiable character. With the AI and ML, I've realized that there is a happiness scale at the end of surgery. If my alignment is between 0 to 10 degrees, if my balance is 2 millimeter, no notching and minimal release, I'm happiest. I'm still happy if I get between 2 to 5 degree of varus, 0 to 2 degree of valgus. There is a very minimal mismatch of 2 to 4 millimeters, and the component position are acceptable, and I have done moderate release. But I'm terribly unhappy if I've not been able to get the desired alignment or my balance, and my component positionings are also off mark. So if you look at a typical varus knee, a bullseye is complete balance center center and a complete neutral alignment. Most of the time, we for a varus knee we used to be in this area where we would leave it slightly tight medially, very close to the alignment, or maybe 2 to 3 degree in varus. But with robotics, over time, our balance has improved significantly, and we have moved or shifted toward less of varus. And I think that's the effect of skills, experience, planning, and technology. So, to conclude, I would say that we are in a brave new world. We inherently will believe in value derived from patient outcomes, surgical innovations, implant design, and best practices in the field. Precision that is promised by the AI is in our ability to deliver the optimized care is indeed something to look forward to. Survival, prediction of cost, assisting an image diagnostic, clinical decision support, and even implant design is some of the very low hanging fruit for AI. There is hope and hype. Definitely, a lot of words are thrown AI and ML when we talk to certain subject and non-subject experts to kind of attract attention. But at the same time, once the trough of disillusionment goes away, then there is definitely a plateau of enlightenment, and this will definitely be followed by a productive approach. AI is somewhat like what internet was in 1987. I was a primary school student at that time, and it was an exciting new days. And today, internet influences everything. And I believe the AI is what is going through the same path, and today is the new 1987. This decade is gonna bring about paradigm shift in the way we think and practice our orthopedics. I thank you all for your attention, and once again, the organizers, I would really express my gratitude for having me here for this